It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel. Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe's with us in the booth, and you're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, you can catch us. And, of course, 790 The Score in Rhode Island. And, Mark, I can't help looking at that damn over my shoulder. We're recording on Thursday night, so the Bruins, are playing right now.
Game 6.
Game 6, one shot after one period. We'll get to that in a little while. But we also want to get to you. And make sure you give us a call on Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Or you can send us an email in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. Hey, their message line. So leave us a message 24/7. Anything's on the table. There's certainly a lot to complain and bitch and complain about, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got a lot tonight to talk about. We're going to go Pats Nation. We're going to have our draft recap. You definitely don't want to miss that. And, of course, Catone's comments. Stick around. And in B's and C's, you're not going to want to miss that segment. So make sure you stick around. But, gentlemen.
Hey.
We feel one shot, Mark, after one period.
Listen. Don't get me started. The show hasn't even started yet. Barely. Don't get me started already with the Bruins.
Well, we'll give Mark a chance to calm down a little. We're going to talk some draft. We're going to do it in Pats Nation, Joe. So, Mark, draft was last weekend. It went by quick. Did it just feel like it went poop?
It did go by quicker, I think, than usual. I thought it went by quick, yeah.
I mean, we watch I record every pick. So
typically I watch every freaking second of it, but my wife.
You know what?
Wait.
Joe, listen. I'm so disgusted with Mr. Catone right now.
I taped it. I went back and watched what I missed.
Taped it. But you should be ashamed of yourself.
Listen, I had my phone on. I had all kind of things I was watching to make sure I knew who was getting picked when and where.
I think
DCR tapes.
I think you and I were on the phone for about 2.5 hours on the first round.
The first round, I think we were. Yeah, we were.
All right, so let's talk about it. They drafted 8 players, right?
8 guys.
In this
yep.
round. Okay, so let's get to the top picks first. If we have time, we'll go to the later ones. But got to talk quarterback, obviously.
Obviously,
so we had a lot of different scenarios, and we went through them all as to what they would do. Trade out of it. J.J. McCarthy was on the board, all that. But they go ahead and they take Drake May first, Mark, and we want to break him down. I want to go get some detail on him as to what we expect. But what'd you think of the pick?
Well, listen, Chris, considering they didn't do what we wanted them to do and trade for Fields, I guess, what were you – listen, the way it played out, Chris, there were no more quarterbacks left. I mean, 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks. So I think they did the right thing.
I don't believe that. I can't believe it.
Right? That's unbelievable. So I think they did the right thing by selecting a quarterback with the 3rd pick. Listen, You said it several times, Chris. He's 21 years old. He's got a ton of upside. If you can get him to fulfill that upside,
the ceiling,
I think, could be higher than anyone else in the draft, Chris, possibly. Maybe not Williams, but everybody else, I think, right? But, Chris, I don't think you can play him this year. I think you really need to sit this kid and don't do what you did with Mac Jones. Even if the kid has a great camp, you spent $8 million on Brissett. Brissett at least has to start the season as starting quarterback. And maybe that goes for 7 or 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Maybe it's the whole season. I don't know. If he keeps you in the race, which I don't think he's going to. I think we're going to have a top 10 pick again next year. But why rush May?
Yeah. So for me, as this thing, was winding up, I started to say, over Daniels or Drake May, I was leaning towards May, honestly, because Daniels just isn't. I didn't want Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, if you want an MVP, fine. If you want to win, Lamar Jackson's never going to win a Super Bowl, Mark. So, anyway.
No.
We didn't
and
get
we've been saying that for years. So, anyway.
So getting to Drake May. So here's my thing with him.
Go ahead with him.
So, the good points, the bad points. All right. So the good points are these. When he had some good players 2 years ago, he looked sharp. He looked good. He delivered the ball well. He's accurate a lot of the times. He can make every single throw. Throws between the numbers as good as I've seen any of these quarterbacks in this draft in between the numbers. So those are good things, good leadership qualities. I'll tell you what I liked. I like the fact that this past season, the offensive system sucked in North Carolina, and the players, he didn't have his guys. He didn't have guys. And he could have the media down there gave him every opportunity to throw his players under the bus, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He didn't do it to the program. He just talked about how they can improve, get better. And I like that, because you're going to need that over here because, we're going to suck for a bit.
In fact, he took his NIL money and spread it out to all his linemen.
Well, there you go. So, that's like Josh Allen-esque. He does things like that. So this is a kid that can make all the throws like a Justin Herbert, but he also has the ability like a Josh Allen to get out, move. He's got the size and so on. Now, the other side, okay? Yeah, his footwork. Everybody keeps talking about his footwork needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work. What I mean by that is on his drops, how he steps into throws, throwing off his back foot, how quick are his feet in the pocket. Those kinds of things need a lot of work. And the other thing with him is he abandons the pocket quickly. His pocket awareness, he creates his own pressure because he'll bail right out. And he doesn't trust his pocket, and he's going to have to be able to do that. And so a lot of times when he's moving out and he's throwing on the run, people, look how well he throws on the run. He doesn't have to. A lot of that, Mark. And so to me, that's an issue. And some of the accuracy at times, not when he decides to step into a throw and drive it, he can do it. No problem. But then there are times where he has those lags, right? That's what I see. There's a few more things.
Absolutely. We talked about that the last couple of weeks.
Right. So I think it's a good, under the circumstances, I didn't want JJ McCarthy.
No.
I was shocked.
I don't want him either.
6 guys went in the top 12. I don't know what Atlanta did.
Atlanta paid over $100 million to bring in Kirk Cousins, and you draft
like $180 million or some stupid thing like that.
Crazy number, yeah.
So instead of bringing in a weapon, they go and take a quarterback who is 26 years old. Well, anyway, that's Atlanta's problem. But so Mark, that's what I think of the player. I think he's going to be fine. Yeah, sit him. So getting to when will he play? When should he play?
Like I said, Chris, I just said I would sit him. I don't think. Well, listen. First of all, Chris, you mentioned the footwork, and I don't think the footwork is that difficult to fix, right? I think you can fix that if you wanted. You know what I mean? That's fixable. Yeah. They'll fix it. However, I really don't think, Chris, there's a need to play him right away. I think you can take your time. Listen, like I said, unless he blows them away in training camp, where you're like, there's no way we can put Brisbane a percent in there because there'll be a mutiny. This kid's playing so well. But I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be a progression for this kid. Don't rush him. Let him take his time. Maybe week 10 or 12 if you want to throw him in there. If we've only won 2 games, maybe. If not, let him sit the whole season, Chris. There's no harm because you're not going anywhere this year. Yeah. I don't think.
I think you got to resist the temptation,
Yes.
And because this is a guy, not only footwork, but he's tough. He's had some trouble against pressure packages, so he's going to have to study and learn. Yeah. And on crossers, he throws behind, so he's not always as accurate now, which leads me to the next picks. Leads me to the wide receivers. So I want to break both of those down. I want you to do it because with Drake May, were these the kind of guys he needs, Mark?
So based on May's weaknesses and strengths, Chris, I think these 2 guys, yes, I think they will play into what Drake May's strengths are and what his weaknesses are. Let me preface it by saying this, Chris. Are these two guys, is either one of them a bona fide number one? You just got Marvin Harrison Jr., Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. No, that's not who we drafted. Okay. Is there potential there? Absolutely. But did you draft a stud like one of those guys? No, that's not what you drafted. Okay. Let's just put the cards on the table before we even get into this. Okay. So Jalen Polk, Chris, okay, just real quick, things I see. Okay. He understands space, Chris, and angles really well. He's technically one of the top receivers in the country. Okay, technically. His technique is, he gets it, he understands it. He's a technically sound receiver. He's tough. He extends his hands, Chris, for the ball. He doesn't wait for the ball to get to him. And in the Michigan game, specifically, the national championship game, that extension was the difference between possibly a breakup or a pick and him catching the ball, because he played better than the Dunce did in the Michigan game and in the Texas game. The semifinal game, he played better than the Dunce, and the Dunce was a top 10 pick. Okay? So he has craftiness. He has savviness. He's almost like an outfielder, Chris. He can pick up the ball off the quarterback's hand, and he can make adjustments in the air to be with that ball and have his hands where the ball's going to be. You mentioned Drake May sometimes having trouble throwing behind guys or missing guys. This is the type of receiver, Chris, that'll adjust. He'll see the ball coming out of his hand, and he makes the adjustment, because the quarterback for Washington was incredibly Penix was incredibly accurate this year, but there were throws that Penix missed, and Polk went and got the ball. Okay, so he's good at that, Chris. He's excellent at dropping his weight and adjusting the way the ball's going to be. And a lot of young receivers can't do that, Chris. They don't have that kind of body control, right? But he does. And then everyone keeps complaining about his speed. You know, he's not a speed burner. He's not a 4.3, 4.2 guy. He's not, Chris. He's not going to beat you with his speed. That's not going to happen. But what he is going to do is he's going to beat you off the line, because he knows how to use his hands. He knows how to fight. He knows how to use his body off of bumps. All right, those are the types of things he can do, Chris. Now,
well, but you know, Mark,
but he's not going to play fast, Chris. That's not him. He's not going to, for him to transition into a different gear later in the route, that's not going to happen. He doesn't necessarily have that, but he will play in zone. He will kill you in zone. He'll find open space. He's going to do things. You mentioned Ladd McConkey. You loved him the night of the draft. You said, Mark, he's going to catch 100 balls. Why aren't we drafting him? 100 balls he's going to catch. But this guy, Polk, Chris, is the type of guy with Drake May. I think this kid could catch 75, 80 balls. Is he going to be a number one? True number one? No, but he's going to be a solid number two, I think. That's what I think Jalen Polk will be. And I know you're not a fan of his, but the more I looked at his tape, Chris, after he was drafted, I don't think we gave him enough credit for the type of receiver he actually is.
No, I think, I agree with most of all what you're saying, okay? But I just don't like his bursts at the break.
Yeah, he doesn't
when
have
he stems and he gets to his break point where he's going to, in, out. His lines are good. Like he runs a good, nice route line where is not a lot of variance off that, so you can get away from corners or defenders. But I want to see more burst at the point of the break. But your catch radius is good for what Drake May is. And what about the other guy, Javon Baker?
Now, this guy,
because I like him better.
I do too. But as soon as he was drafted, you called me and said, "What did we do?" And I said, "No, Chris." I said, "This guy was highlighted on my sheets. I liked him." They actually took a guy.
Another guy that runs a 4.5, though.
He does, but I'm going to say something to you about him, Chris. He's got game speed. There's a difference between somebody training to run a 40, like Xavier Worthy told everybody he was training to break the record. Okay, that's fine, Chris. But when you're running a 6-yard hitch, you ain't running a 4.21 when you're running a 6-yard hitch. What's your game speed? You're 170 pounds. Xavier Worthy's 171 pounds. So you can run a 4.2 like Thornton, but if you can't get off the line, what the hell's the difference? I don't care.
You just get a good separation. Yeah.
But this kid, Chris, Baker, what I like about him, Chris, he's just a dog. He is a dog. Like, just the comments he's been making since he was drafted. Today, he was on Instagram showing one of his workouts. And he says, there ain't 10 effing receivers better than me. 10 receivers better than me. Yeah, F that. Right? And he's showing his workout. Like, he's just, the kid's a dog, which we haven't had that probably since Morse.
Yeah, I like that.
So, listen, this kid, Chris, has excellent feet. I know he doesn't run a 4.2, 4.3, but Chris, he has such quick feet. And his body mannerism and what he does off the line because of that feet and his quick, sudden movement, Chris. He moves instantly with those feet. You're talking about a sudden burst. He has that. He's kind of like Chad Johnson when in that way. Okay. He creates leverage with that movement, Chris. Okay.
Yeah.
He understands a release, Chris. He works every single part of the release. He uses the indicator step. He does everything that you want a receiver to do, Chris. And then he leaves himself room after he does that. He understands how to get himself open, how to get himself free, which I think he does that better than Polk does. And this kid, Chris, fights for contested balls. He goes up, he gets them. The problem with him, Chris, is sometimes he loses focus. He's dropped some balls.
Yeah.
Some balls that he should catch, which sometimes that can be a problem. He's a little inconsistent sometimes finishing routes underneath. Okay. I did see that a little bit on tape. But the fact that May has such a cannon, Chris, this kid will get open downfield for him. And this kid can run some routes that Polk can't run. So he'll complement not only May, this kid will complement Polk, but he has some growing to do because there are some inconsistencies in his game. But this kid has more potential to be maybe a number one than Polk does.
Well,
I don't think either one of them's a one. I think they're both going to be possibly strong twos.
One of my concerns about him is when he is going to run boundary, when he is playing in the boundary and he runs vertical routes. This is my issue with him. This is about the speed. This is not about the speed, but it's about gaining that separation. When corners are in phase and they're playing him, he's not physical. He's not physical enough to gain space. You're running down the sideline on a route. You gotta be physical to open up a gap between you and the sideline to gain some space to get up and get the ball. And that he's going to need some work on. And he rushes routes a lot. He gets excited out there, excitable, where he rush some routes. So he's got to work. He's got to work on those things. I mean, But I like the players. They finally drafted a receiver you like. I like the draft because they drafted wide receivers, right? Okay.
Yep.
Now, just a quick thing. We'll take just a minute on the, and then we'll go to break, come back, talk about some other things. But talking about the linemen, all right? So now they go and take an offensive tackle from Penn State. Okay. Caden Wallace. I didn't like the pick. Okay. I'll just I mean, he's got some strengths. Okay. He's got a big effort. He connects to people. He's got good body control. He fits up on blocks. He's got a good base, good hand. He can stick to guys a little bit. And so I like that. Okay. About him. What I don't like, he's so telegraphed. Like he's very deliberate and he telegraphs his pass punch. And that's a problem when you're playing tackle. I mean, this guy is more of and it's another guy that they drafted that's a guard tackle. He's these tweener guy. And they got enough of those guys, Mark. I mean, they got, Mafi and other guys like that can play both spots. And so that's an irritating thing. There were some other guys out there that were, to me, true tackles. This guy played 40 I believe he played 40 games, so he was all right tackle that he played, never on the left. So you didn't go out and get a left tackle. There was some guys out there. There was a guy from Texas that I liked that I think could play left tackle. They didn't go after him. So to me, he's okay. Can he be something? We'll see. But those are some of the strengths and weaknesses. And then the other guy they get a guard in the 4th round with the 3rd pick. Listen, I would have taken a wide out there again. I don't care, 3. Flood the room. Or I would have taken a nice, Trotter went much later, but I would have taken a nice off-ball linebacker that I like. I loved Trotter in this draft. They didn't take him. So, This guy's your typical guard. You know, he's bulky, he's big, he's ground and pound, good in the run game. But they got guards. So I wasn't really overly impressed with the
Chris, is this guy though? Chris, is this guy the guard that they took? Is he Cole Strange's replacement though? Because I don't think they're too happy with Cole Strange. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I think they think he's a bust. But I mean, not if Belichick's not there. That was Belichick's baby.
Well,
I mean, this kid could be his replacement.
Yeah, I mean, he finishes. Listen, he's nasty. He'll sustain the block. He'll finish blocks. It's pretty impressive how he can do that, actually. So maybe good nimble feet.
If they go to the zone blocking scheme of that West Coast style,
he's a good guard. I mean, he's got good feet.
Can he do that?
Yeah, he can do it. He's got good feet. He really does. And so yeah. I mean, the first 4 or 5 guys, not bad. Like them.
They took
drafted some other guys.
They took Bazooka Joe.
Yeah, we come back. I want to just give me when we come back. We're going to talk. I was trying to give a second on Bazooka Joe, and because we had one of in our mailbag. That's the word I'm looking for. My God, Joe, I'm like all over the place today. But we had in our mailbag. Somebody wrote in and wants to know who are our top 5. Who are our top 5? And it's a good title for the show today. Who are our top 5 out of the 8 picks? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about where the Patriots are, a little bit on Bazooka Joe, all that and more right after this. No flipping.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
What?
That's
crap?
it.
What is wrong with you?
Get him on this damn show.
You lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Feel. It's going to be real.
Back in with more Corso and Catone. So continuing on with some draft talk. Mark, quickly, because I don't know how much it warrants. Look, they take Bazooka Joe Milton out of Tennessee, the quarterback. The dude flicks his wrist and throws 80 yards. He was throwing balls from his knee, 60 yards.
When we did our quarterback breakdown on our draft preview, I brought up Bazooka Joe. I said, hey, if you didn't take a quarterback at 3, I'd take him in the 5th, 6th round as a project. They took him anyways.
The problem with him, Mark, is he could flick his wrist and throw 80 yards, but then when he's got to throw a short pass, he also throws it 80 yards.
Well, hey, listen, what are you going to do?
Yeah, can he be a tight end? He said, no, I'm not going to do it.
He claims he will not switch positions, Chris, so I don't know.
You going to pull a Tebow? You want to play football or not, man?
He's certainly a good enough athlete to play tight end. That's for damn sure, but I just don't know if he would do it.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He runs does he run like a 4.5 or something like that?
Yeah, he's a big dude and he's fast. Yeah, he runs like a 4.5. Yeah. Yep.
So, we'll see what happens with that. And, they went real quick. They went and took that corner in the 6th round. Dial there.
Oh, Chris, I don't think, listen, the one plus with him, Chris, is he played against the best receivers in the country. He played against them.
They took him out of South Carolina. Physical cover guy. He can slow receivers up. He's physical at the line. He can recover quickly, big bursts. He's going to see some time in special teams,
Chris,
but I think
he gives them something they don't have. They really don't have a physical corner on the roster.
Oh,
I mean, Gonzalez is obviously great, but he's not physical like this kid is.
He doesn't come forward like this kid can do, So he needs to work. He's a project,
He's a project.
He needs to play a little lower.
I think it's because of our thumbnail that we put up. Wolf went out there and got somebody named Marcellus. You know what I mean?
There you go.
There
you go. So we'll see with this guy. He doesn't track the deep ball all that well, but maybe he can improve. So, Mark, where is this team? Okay, so the draft happens. I don't believe in draft. I don't want to hear about draft grades. I don't know what the hell that even means anymore. Like, I grade him. I give him an A. I give him an F. I give him a B. You don't even know what these guys are, I mean, if Drake May sucks,
if Drake May's a top 5 quarterback in the league in 5 years, I don't care if every other guy in the team gets cut. The draft was an A if that happens. Come on.
Exactly. So where are they? Look, where's this team now? I mean, are they are they markedly better than they were when coming in? I mean, you got to say, with that receiver room, you got to say they're better now, Mark. I mean, they've improved their team in the receiving court, obviously.
Put it this way, Chris. I think Polk I think, and I'm going to include Kendrick Bourne in this because he's coming off an injury. I think
Polk. Tell me what the receiver room is. Let's do it that way.
So I think your receiver room is going to obviously be Polk.
Because you got 8 guys, by the way.
Yep. It's going to be Polk. It's going to be Polk. It's going to be Baker. Yeah. It's going to be Pop Douglas. It's going to be Bourne because you just gave him a contract.
Yep.
And then I think if he shows
Osborne too, right?
KJ Osborne. So do you keep 6 receivers?
Well, that's 5.
Yeah,
right?
Do you keep 6 or do you keep 5?
Oh yeah, no, you got to keep 6. And then
okay,
to me,
so your 6th receiver, if they give him the opportunity, Chris, I still think the kid will pop. Keyshawn Butte will be your 6th.
Me too.
That means you're going to get rid of Schuster, Thornton, and your buddy. I know you love Riga.
Yeah, but
unless Riga is what you call it, he takes
Slater.
What you call it, Slater's job. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what'll happen there. Thornton's got to go. I don't want to hear about Thornton anymore. We got 4-2 on the outside. You know what? You even said that the other night. This kid, Joe. I thought he was having.
I didn't say it. I told you what I heard.
Well,
say. I repeated it. I didn't say
4-2 said on the outside. I said 4-2 on the outside. He can't even break a sweat, let alone he can't break anybody's wrist off a break. Come on, this guy can't get
diving into that Canadian mist.
He's got to go. Schuster's got to go. Right? I mean, and that's it. And I give Butte the shot because I still think he's going to make all those idiots eat their words. I still do. He didn't get the shot. I'm with you. So I think the receiving room is better. They still don't have a true X. But this is not an offense that required that. This is not an offense that's going to play that X.
It's not, but I also think Chris Baker can give you some X. I think Baker can give you some X. I really do. And you're right, Chris. This isn't an offense that I think is going to require a true X, but I think he can give it to you, Baker. Because if you go back and look at his tape in college, he did do some of that in college and he did it well. But Chris, this room with the guys we mentioned, and you get rid of Thornton and Schuster, is definitely a better room than it was last year, in my opinion.
The offensive line didn't get better. It didn't get better. I mean, this kid they drafted, we're talking about top 5 in a second.
Well, Chris, let me ask you
he's not
this,
my top 5, and you're going to be surprised at who.
No, Chris, you're counting on the guy from Pittsburgh to be your left tackle at free agent.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. This guy's not going to be a left tackle.
No.
He's a guard/right tackle.
After they drafted him, Chris, they said, "Oh, he's got the athleticism to be a left tackle." No,
sure he does. Yeah, but
he's not going to be. Listen,
can he?
My thing is, Chris, if you could get a left tackle, I do think this kid from Penn State has the potential, Chris, to be a solid right tackle. Yeah. But he's not going to be a left tackle, Chris. I just don't see it.
Well, listen, let's flip we do nothing on defense. Flip to the other side. They took no defense. I mean, for a team that all took all defense, now they took all offense, and they needed to, and they should, and I get that. But, Mark, instead of that guard, there were some off-ball linebackers that I really liked that they could have gotten because they're not good now. They picked up one as an undrafted free agent who maybe
from Alabama. The kid from Alabama
played against the right teams. He, to me, can get sideline to sideline. He's athletic. But I'll tell you what, and I think this DL helps them in the secondary a little bit. And I still don't discount, don't sleep on them signing Gilmore as a veteran corner.
Well, Chris, the longer he's out there. Yeah, why not?
And so, so not much on defense. I'll tell you where they got better, Mark. And I know you're going to want to talk about this for a second. The running back. Talk about him, the undrafted free agent.
So they actually got every year. Chris always says, "Mark, you don't need to draft running backs every year."
And he's an undrafted free agent, so don't drone on about it.
What? No. Every year, Chris says you don't need to draft a running back. There's always an undrafted running back free agent that puts up that turns out to be 1,000-yard rusher. I honestly think the kid that we just picked up from Oregon State, Deshaun Fenwick. If you watch the tape. I watched him live against Colorado, and I watched him play against Washington. I definitely think, Chris, the kid can compete for the third spot over Kevin Harris. The kid can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a strong runner. He's like a bowling ball type. I honestly think as an undrafted guy, he can beat out Harris.
Yeah. Okay. So do we think they're going to challenge teams? No. Do I think that their receiving core at the moment could possibly be better than Buffalo's? Maybe. So, okay. So to our mailbag now. And we got to go to break, but to our mailbag, let's answer the question. Our top 5, Joe, are we included undrafted free agents or just who they drafted?
Just who they drafted. They specifically said, who overall is going to make the benefit the team.
So our top 5, Mark, do we agree number 1's May?
Yes.
Okay. Who's number 2 for you?
Javon Baker.
Me too. I got that too. Everybody said Polk. I'll say Baker. Then I got Polk.
Then I got Polk 3. Yes,
That's
I got
3.
Polk 3. I do too.
Okay. Who's 4 for you?
4 for me, Chris. You're going to laugh. I think this kid, Marcellus Dial.
He's 4 for me too.
he's gonna surprise people, Chris, because he's physical. And he played against guys that were drafted in the top 10 of the draft.
Yeah. For me, it's the same. I like him. That's how much I didn't like the tackle.
Yeah, me either.
But I'll put him at 5. I'll put him at 5. But maybe the guard.
You know what I'm putting at 5?
Bell?
Jaheim Bell out of Florida State.
You just want a tight end there. That's it. You just wanted a tight end.
You know I wanted a tight end. Listen, but this kid was on my board, Chris. I think, he's going to be a hybrid. He's going to fit what Van Pelt wants
he's no
to do.
blocker. He's not going to block anybody.
He's not a blocker at all. The blocker is going to be Jacob Warren, the undrafted tight end from Tennessee, the undrafted free agent. He's going to end up being your blocking tight end.
They don't have enough roster spots, Joe, for all the guys he wants on this team.
Listen, empty out the room. We won 4 games.
All right. So that's our breakdown of the draft. That's what we think. Let us know what you think in Heated Hotline in the mailbag. And those are our top 5. So thank you for that email. So Pats Nation was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. Hey, he's already delusional. So when we come back, buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So listen, listen, I'm going to do it again. I know my pet peeve. I just got to
Please don't tell me you went to a store.
No. I just got to open up my driving school. I just have to do it. I got to open it up, print the manual, Catone's manual on driving, and get it out there. Listen, I'm driving on the highway, going to work the other morning. Cars drifting into my lane. I'm swerving to get out of the way. I look over. The lady's on her phone texting. She's texting. She's looking at her phone. She's swerving side to side. Why are you? It's a law. You can't text while you're driving. Why are you texting while you're driving? You can't connect it to your car, so you can do it in the car. Talk into the microphone. Do something. You're texting while you're driving. You're shifting lanes. Bad enough you can't drive to begin with. Now you're going to text and try to drive at the same time. Listen, follow the rules of the road and pay attention and don't text. It's very simple. Now, then I'm on 2 days later, I'm driving. I'm at a light, red light. There's a couple of cars in front of me. It's a car at the light. Light turns green. Nobody's moving. Nobody's moving. The lead car, nobody's moving. Nobody's beeping. Nobody's doing anything. So I start beeping. What do I care? Listen, you're going to sit in traffic. Nothing. Light turns red. Now, Chris knows. Chris has been in Rhode Island. The lights over here, Chris, it's unbelievable. They never change anyways. They don't change. And then when they do, but wait a minute. And then when they do change, the car's sitting there. Why? Why is the car sitting there? The guy's texting, right? He's obviously texting. He's looking at email, looking at Instagram, looking at his sister's ass. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something, but he's not driving. He's picking his nose. He's grabbing his shorts. I don't know what he's doing, but he's not moving. And nobody else cares. Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's beeping. Nobody's pulling around to try to go by him. Nothing. They're just sitting there. The light changes and nobody moves. Nobody does anything. So now I horn him, and the guy behind me's putting his hands up in the air, getting mad at me. You're sitting there, you moron. You complete moron. You're sitting there in traffic. The light turns. Nobody's moving. Nobody's beeping. You're getting mad at me because I'm beeping the horn. Learn how to drive, for Christ's sakes. What the hell is wrong with these people? Get a clue. Get a clue, people. I don't understand the ignorance of people. All I want to do is follow the rules of the law. Follow the rules of the road. Follow the rules of the road. And you're getting mad at me because I'm beeping? Because I just want to move when the light turns green? I don't want you swerving into my lane because you shouldn't be texting? Like, is it that difficult to get behind the wheel of a car, pay attention, do what you're supposed to do, follow the rules of the road so, A, traffic moves, B, you don't hit somebody or kill somebody? Is that difficult? Is it that difficult, really? Because Catone's driving school is going to be opening soon. I got the manual ready to go. I just got to get funding to open it up. That's all.
We're going to have to do a giveaway.
Yeah, something.
On behalf of Corso and Catone, we apologize to that guy's sister out there.
How do I get?
Mark, I refer you to chapter 4 under road rage. Okay.
There was not road rage. I just beeped. There was no road rage.
I don't know, Joe. I think we need a ruling on that.
Does
he sound enraged to you?
Joe, if you beep, that's road rage. If you beep.
Oh, these days, probably. You probably got to get,
Oh,
well, everybody's sensitive now, Mark.
You have to now call a publicist, because you're part of Corso Catone. So
everybody's overly sensitive.
Come on.
Well, yeah,
now.
the views of Catone and Catone's comments do not represent.
He's right, though.
Yeah.
He's always right.
They don't represent.
He's always right.
Yeah.
He's always right, but he's a friggin' maniac, Joe.
My thing is like you got in the car for a reason. You had to go somewhere. So do that. Get in the car and go there. Get to it. Get to your purpose for getting in the car in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe he lives in the car. He's confused and he can't separate the stuff.
But Chris, if you're at a light,
you do in the car.
If you're at a light and nobody moves, and they just sit there and a light changes,
I give about 2.5 seconds. That's
and then
it.
what do?
I get out of the car.
You don't get out of the car.
And I run up to the other one. That's in chapter 6 of Catone's manual. Chapter 6.
But
put it in park, get out of the car, and yank somebody out of the window.
He's here for the Super Bowl, right?
Oh,
God.
God.
And we go pick up pizza, Casertis. He's at a light.
Why does this always turn against me?
Because we're at a light, Joe. He's sitting there. He said, "What the hell is this? The light don't turn." I said, "Chris, you're going to show a little patience, pal. It hasn't turned yet." You know what I mean?
He said that to me.
I know.
Listen, I guess he's not wrong, right? I mean, he's But you talk. I see it all. Yeah, I see it all the time too. The heads are down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're telling me you've never looked at the phone when you're driving? He's looking at it right now. He's looking at it right now.
No.
You know what he's looking at? He's looking for the Bruins. He's looking to see what's going on with the Bruins.
That's what I'm looking for.
13 shots.
No
There's
score.
3 minutes left. No score.
But listen. No, yeah, but Chris, I'm not sitting there. If you glance down at your phone, I'm not sitting there texting on my phone, swerving into lanes. I mean, I
No,
got
well,
it in
see,
my,
the law
I got
actually
it,
is.
I got it in my car. If I gotta make a phone call, I just do it. I hit my thing. I don't pick my phone up to make a phone call. I do it through the car.
Well, the law actually is here where you can't hold the phone any part of your body.
You're not supposed to do that here either.
And two, yeah, obviously you can't watch a video or anything like that, but you can't hold it while you're moving. So like if you're stopped, you can, pick it up and do it, and then you're gonna put it down when you start to go.
Corso Law Group has represented a lot of violators of that law.
No, what's scary is the CDL guys, the commercial drivers, the big trucks out there. Those guys get more of those charges than anybody else, which scares the living crap out of you because they're driving basically missiles and look at that thing, you know? I mean, so come on, Joey, I can't disagree with them. People are annoying. And by the way, just really quick, can you put this in your book? I don't think anybody in Rhode Island should be allowed to take a left-hand turn because it's maddening. I'm sitting there on this long street in Bristol. What the hell's the name of that? Is that 114? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's traffic just backed up. And I'm like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. How the hell? I'm screaming out the window, go to work. Go. You shouldn't even be on the road. And why is there traffic? Because it's a 1-lane road and somebody wants to take a left.
Yeah.
I've never you know what, Joe, you've been outside that state. Mark doesn't move. He doesn't go anywhere, So multiple lanes, right? Start doing some construction. Knock down some of these houses.
Yeah.
And make lanes instead of where the people live. No?
Yeah.
Well, the houses are like right on top of the street, Mark.
Oh, yeah. Down. Yeah. What are you going to do?
Well, all good stuff, Mark. Listen, everybody, the manual will be out soon. I refer you to chapters 4 and 6 for road rage and other things. So make sure Mark will scream at you during the lessons. So good stuff. Catone's Comments was presented by Corso and Catone.
Road rage and other things.
and other things.
No, I think that's a good title. It is
a great title.
All right, shut up. We got to go to break. So presented by Corso and Catone. Saturdays, noon to 1 Eastern. You could advertise on the show, sponsors. You could be part of all this insanity,
Yes.
Which is all it really is. And speaking of insanity, when we get back, we're going to talk B's and C's and all that and more.
Mark, I'm serious. I think I lost my mind.
Certainly, it was an exciting show.
I want Murray.
That's
it.
What is wrong with
Get him on this damn show.
you? Lost your mind tonight.
That's all I have to say.
Lost your mind.
What are you writing now?
So I'm working over here. You're talking about nonsense. I'm working.
That's why we are the real deal New England Feel. It's going to be real.
Oh, it is real. It is real, all right. And there's nothing more real than the NHL and NBA playoffs. Celtics and Bruins are in the middle of it all. And let's get irritated about it. Joe?
Hit it! The Boston Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are.
Fantastic wash. Fantastic. Hey, listen, if you're listening on 790 or on iHeart and any of that, you got to get on YouTube at some point, rewatch the show, and watch that wash that Joe put together. Fantastic.
Yep.
When we made the show notes for tonight, well, we were going to start with the Celtics, but I can't do it because I've been chomping at the bit to go Bruins. All right. So, Mark, and I think they just scored Toronto. But anyway.
I think Toronto did score, I think.
Yeah, it's good because there's a minute left. And, of course, Boston, they can never close out a period. So, Mark.
They scored.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, it's Thursday night. It's 1-0 going into the end of the second period. Excellent. We only have 14 shots. What's the overall problem here with this team? And we talk about Game 5. Game 4 probably was the best they've looked probably all season.
So, Chris, so you come out in game 4, and it's the best you've looked all season.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to go into a closeout game at home, right? And let's support the coach talks to the team, tells them how important it is. You know, Toronto's gonna come out with all kind of energy. They're playing for their lives, and you come out in the first period, and you can't be any flatter. How is that even possible in a closeout game at home that you come out that flat? They asked the coach after the game, and his response is, "Oh, I don't know. You're gonna have to. I don't know. You're gonna have to ask them. You're gonna have to ask them. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?"
So it's the Florida series all over again from last year. Okay. I've never seen, Ray Ferraro, who was doing the national broadcast of this game, which, in essence, unwatchable. But comes out in the intermission, first intermission. He said, I've never seen a team play so tight, so wound up. They wound in knots. They couldn't make a pass from here to there. He said, guys, you're up 3-1 in this series. Relax.
And Chris, this was after they played probably their best game all series in game 4.
They had 2 shots. 2 shots. And we'll get to tonight. They had 2 shots after 1 period.
At home in a closeout type of game.
That's inexcusable. Dick, there isn't anything worse than that. Oh, but there is something worse than that, isn't there? Because tonight, after the first period, they had 1 shot on goal. 1. A combined 3 shots of the first periods of these 2 games.
Toronto had 12 shots tonight in the first period, Chris, in game 6.
And they're going into the break with 14 shots. So they picked it up just a little bit. So, look, where do you begin? I mean,
but Chris, why did he even make some of the changes he made in personnel?
Well, that's the first
game
thing.
5.
Okay? They lost 15 of 19 faceoffs in that game 5. Okay, so you take out your best faceoff kid, you put him on the bench, so you could bring the other. Who was the guy? Was it Brazo? Beecher? Anyway, they brought the guy that's been hurt. They bring him back in. Maybe Montgomery thought, well, we're going to get this guy some work before we get into the next series, the Florida series. Well, now they lose. They completely got butchered in the faceoff department, which has been a problem for them all season. Coyle's been invisible in this series. He's been horrible in this series. Zaka has been hot for all the love I gave those 2 guys. Those 2 guys have been invisible in this series. Okay, and then so you take him out.
And Chris, for them to do that in the playoffs, we said all year that those guys were going to have to show up in the playoffs, and they haven't shown up.
Right. Why is Grizzlick playing? Why was he playing? Now here we go. Why was he playing in game 5? You benched him for game 4 because you know why you benched him for game 4? You know why? Because he sucks. That's why you benched him. Because he sucks. Joe, adjust the volume. That's it, period. And what do? You put him in game 5. What happened? Tavares has got the puck coming down, makes a little move right around him. Goal. I mean, what is Montgomery doing? I don't know. I don't know why they're flat. That's on you, man. So who is this on? The leadership of this team. I told you, Marchand, when Marchand plays the way he plays, when he's a little rat out there and he's getting under people's skin, they win. That's how you win. That's how they did. They get in their heads and all that, and they did it against Toronto in game 4. 3, no, but 4, yeah. And games really 3 and 4. But you saw in game 5, he went back to being Mr. Captain. Mr. Captain, don't get under anybody's skin, and they're flat again. So how Montgomery can't take responsibility for how them being flat, I thought it was the coach's responsibility to get your team ready for the game. That's what I thought. And Mark, we talked about this. When this friggin' team, okay, at the end of the season with like 2 weeks left, he had them on the line doing sprints because they were flat. And you said it when that happened. This team's in trouble in the playoffs. They're not going to win this series. They're not going to win tonight. And they're going to lose in game 7 because they're going to be too and it's going to be a close game and all that, and they're still going to lose. So, Mark, I do blame the coach. But this is what the players wanted. This is the guy they wanted, isn't it?
So, Chris, if you get knocked out in this series, you have to fire him, right?
You have to. I mean, who do you put this on?
If you blow another 3-1 lead, he has to go. What are you going to do with him? I don't care if the players want him or not. You can't keep him.
Line combinations, guys you're deactivating and activating and screwing around like that, goalie platoon talk and all this other nonsense. And by the way, Swayman's been great. Swayman's been great in this series.
Yeah.
They outshot him tonight 12-1 in the first period. He stopped every one of them.
Yeah.
What the hell else you want him to do? We said it after the first game too. We said Toronto outplayed them. We said it last week.
They did.
Toronto
they won
outplayed
the
them. We just won the game.
Boston won, but Toronto outplayed them. We just won the game. Absolutely.
Well, all I can tell you is Boston fans, those of you who wanted that, DeBrusque, guys like DeBrusque, St. Patrice, Bergeron, yeah, I'm calling your ass out too. You guys wanted Cassidy fired. You guys wanted Cassidy gone. Mark and I didn't want it. Go back and listen. You wanted that guy gone because let me tell you something right now. If that dude was your coach, they win the cup last year.
Yeah. They would have.
You'd have a disciplined team that wouldn't wet themselves.
With that team and with the guys that they brought in at the end, at the trade deadline for the stretch run, they would have won the cup.
Bertuzzi and Orloff and these guys.
They would have won the cup.
They would have won the cup because they would have had a little bit more of a taskmaster instead of this clown that's on the side of the bench with bubbles coming out.
Because he went to Vegas and won the cup there, Chris.
There you go. With less.
Yes, with less.
And I'll put Boston's team the talent level against anybody last year.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's it. That's it for the Bruins. That's it. Listen, everybody out there in Bruins land, okay, get the goggles off because they're not going to win this series. Period. Montgomery's going to get fired, and you better get somebody who has some eggs that comes in here and pushes this team around a little bit. So now switching over to the Celtics. That's how you close a series, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely. That's how you close a series. Listen, they finally did what you and I have been saying they need to do. They need to show some eggs. You want somebody with eggs. They showed some eggs.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They played. Listen, Drew Holiday, Chris, is playing like a dirt dog on defense. Okay. Like we thought he would in the playoffs. Hey, how about your buddy?
I love him.
Huh? How about your buddy, the other guard?
I like Derek White, man. And where would this team be without Derek White?
Listen, he's doing what
he's the dog. He's the dog.
Well, he is, but I'm talking defensively. Holiday's been playing like a dog.
Yeah,
but listen, but White, they're gonna have to pony up if they want to keep him, Chris, because I think his contract's up.
Oh, I'd keep him. Absolutely. Listen, and the other guy I think is playing fantastic, and he played great down the stretch. This is my favorite player, to be honest with you. I'm getting a jersey. Is Pritchard. Man, I love that kid.
Yeah.
Man, I love that kid. I had a corner last year that was on the team that I coached. The kid was probably like 4 feet tall. Okay. And he was a dog. Mikey. He was a dog. Loved him. This is the kind of kid that really reminds me of that, like Pritchard. He's all over the court, plays great defense, he's got a motor and a half, facilitates, can handle the ball, can shoot. Mark, I think he'd be starting on other teams.
Yeah, he probably would. So what did you think of Tatum and Brown in this series, Chris?
Well, let's talk about Tatum for a minute. Mr. Tatum. He doesn't have huge numbers. So I guess the whole thing with him is you and I have talked about the fact that he's not an alpha. He's not a dog. Look, do we agree that the Heat stunk? I mean, they didn't have anybody.
They stink.
And all they did was try to be tough. They pretty much fouled every time down the court. They was committing a foul. Every single time. They're pushing, they're shoving. What they did against Horford they won in 5, right? So what they did against Horford in game 5, first play of the game, where Adebayo kind of just looked like he was a lineman, a tight end coming off the ball and blocking somebody. No call. I think the officials, by the way, have sucked. They're not inconsistent. They've been all over the place.
Yep.
But so you get that against the Heat. You get a borderline dirty shot for today's game. That dirty shot on Tatum, or maybe in game 1. He doesn't react to it. Everybody talks about, it's no big deal. We're gonna play nice with each other. Mark, Can they win a championship if Tatum's not a little more emotional or gets irritated on the court, gets to be a dog, and doesn't want to be everybody's friend? Can those other guys handle that role?
Maybe they might be able to, Chris. I think you got enough guys with White and Holiday, and you have a little bit of different chemistry on this particular team than you had last year. So I think you might be able to do that. If Tatum, when he needs to come up with a 30-point game, can come up with a 30-point game, because he's probably going to need that in certain games. The larger question, Chris, is can they win? Not if Porzingis is hurt.
Well,
and what's going on with him? Is he coming back? Like, very vague, very vague.
Well, it's always the Celtics.
He's going to be out for several games.
That's always the Celtics thing. But to finish on Tatum, I think he's playing great basketball.
He is.
So you hear the word I'm using. He's playing great basketball. Good assists, good rebounds. Scoring is in the 20s. He's not putting up 30 some odd points because he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
He's slow starting though. That's bothering me a little. His slow starts bother me. So he's playing good basketball, and is that enough? Yeah, I think it's enough to win. But then Jaylen Brown's going to have to be an animal dog, get in people's faces. You want to be physical with us, we're going to get physical with you, and that's going to be the guy that does it. Get to Porzingis now. This is the same injury that Giannis has, yeah?
Yeah.
So Giannis missed what? 4 weeks, 3 weeks? I mean, I don't know what the game is tonight. I don't know if they're going to lose. They're probably going to lose that series. Yeah, because they lost. So they're out.
They lost. No,
so
they're
out.
The
Bucks are out. So those games, they lost Giannis. He was about 3 weeks. I don't know if he would have come back. I'm not sure, but they're talking about him. Well, he may be ready for the finals.
Which the finals begin June 6th.
That's a long time.
What is it now? It's May 2nd today, as of this taping.
So, okay, so here's the question. Can they get through the East without him?
Yes.
Because now you're talking about Indiana is a team that's left. It's probably going to be the Knicks. Okay. Yeah. And I hope
maybe Cleveland. I don't know.
But I tell you, Cleveland scares me a little. But I think they got I don't think there's a team in the East that can, because I don't think you need a guy like that. You're not dealing with a big man, really.
You don't need a guy like that. I don't think to win the East.
Yeah. So so can you get through the East? Yeah. Is he going to be ready? But what does ready mean, Mark? What does ready actually mean?
Well, he's not going to be 100%, Chris, even if he comes back. You know how he is. He's not going to be 100%. So, listen, this round of the playoffs out west, Minnesota is playing Denver. You better help Edwards and those guys come up and win it, because I don't think, Chris, you can beat Denver in a 7-game series without Porzingis. I just don't think you can. Horford cannot handle Jokic. He'll eat him alive. He'll eat him alive under there. So
can they beat him anyway? I mean, can they beat? Because I don't think they can beat him regardless.
I don't think they can beat him anyways. However, I really don't think you can beat him without Porzingis. But the Western Conference is so competitive, Chris. I think Minnesota's got a shot in this round to possibly beat them. You got to hope somebody else beats them, because I like our matchup against anybody else out west. I don't like it against Denver at all. I don't think we can beat Denver in a 7-game series, especially without Porzingis.
And I think Minnesota with Towns, I think that may be a little bit of an issue too.
It'll be tough. But I just think I just don't want to see Denver. We need somebody to beat Denver, Chris.
Well, we'll see what happens. And, again, back to Tatum. Tatum's, your ace is going to be your ace. That's it. He's got to be your ace. Yeah. I'd like to see a little less professionalism out of him.
Okay.
I'd like to see a little more Catone in this kid.
Catone?
Yeah.
Look, Catone behind the wheel.
Not physically.
Look, Catone behind the wheel sort of guy.
Right. but that's what we need. So we'll see what happens. Let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. But Corso and Catone was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, get on, watch all our shows. I say this every week. All our shows are up for you to listen, watch, subscribe, give us that thumbs up, get all our notifications, and come back next week, noon to 1 o'clock Eastern. Every Saturday, we're going to talk more playoffs with hopefully Bruins are still in it. And we're going to talk some baseball. We'll bring it back. Catone's comments, anything you bring to the table, we will be ready. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now by Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.